Hello and welcome to HiveState Bakugan. Today, we are continuing with the set reviews of Age of Aurelus. It's Darkus Day, and we're starting with Anchor Strike, a free action. So all this one does is give you -2 damage. Not you specifically, but your opponent, presumably. It's free to stop 2. Maybe. I mean, it should be good. In theory, it's good. But it's 2 damage. I don't know. Chaos Maximus. This is a 6 energy action. That's kind of cool. You draw a card off of it, so it replaces itself. Whoop-de-doo. If you discard a card, you will have a card to discard with this, no matter when you play it, because you just drew a card. Sacrifice. You can discard a card for plus 20 damage. By the time that you're able to play this, if you play this, you've probably just won if your opponent doesn't have a flip card. And the best thing about this, a lot of flip cards don't stop it. I mean, a lot do, but some of the named fantastic ones, like let's say Pact of Darkness, that stops all non-Darkus. So if you're playing this and your Bakugan's Darkus, well, that's just one that it's gonna zoom right past. That's 20 damage. That's half your deck. I think I can pay 6 energy for that. Darkus Blast. This one also costs 6, and it's plus 1200 B. I want to like it, but it's just on par. Like, 1200 B is nice, but there are cheaper cards that can get you just a little bit less, but close enough that I think it's better. So, maybe as a 1-up at most. Hack Attack. 4 energy for this one for plus 7 damage. Plus 7 damage isn't too great. It's a little under par as to what it should be. But it does have an Aurelus power effect. If you have an Aurelus Bakugan, you can choose a player to discard a card. You can choose yourself if you have a card that when discarded does a thing. Or you can just choose your opponents, whittle down their hand. So it might have a place in some decks. Might of Darkness is next. This one is actually, I'm pretty okay with it. Now I shouldn't be, but I am. So normally the cards that give you a split for damage and B power, I'm not a huge fan of. Because for 3 energy, you're only getting 500. But there have been cases where 500 would have won me the fight. And 3 energy isn't too much. Technically 3 would normally give you 6 or 6 damage. And you're only getting 2 damage, but I think those 2 damage is worth 100 B. This might be okay. If you're playing Mono Darkus, I can see this as an include. I think I truly can. Nova Burst is the next action. This one costs 3 energy, and it's cool. Copy the effect of an action card that was discarded this turn. Doesn't matter where it's from. You have to keep in mind that the term does say discarded this turn, though. So played does not count because it just went away. Damage taken from the top of your deck does not count because it just went away. But when something specifically had you discard a card, those you can play again for free. So you play a card that has sacrifice, discard an insane card, play it for 3. It has its combo potential. Thunderstorm's next. Only cost 1 for this one, and it's plus 200 B power. I don't like that. And it does have a sacrifice ability. You can discard a card to reroll your Bakugan. I still don't like it. I love the reroll decks, but this isn't going to be included. Wipe Mind. 2 energy for this action. -3 damage. Aurelus power. You can choose a player to discard a card. It's pretty much the same as the other one that I don't care too much for. It's just okay. And I think No, I was wrong. That is the other version. We're moving on to Devolutions. 4 for a Diamond Clopter. It is 700 B power and 7 damage. That's all it is. 4 energy, that's what you get. Diamond Phaedrus Ultra. 8 energy to evolve this one, and it's 1800 B power and 9 damage. It's super expensive, but its stats aren't bad, especially if you can figure out a way to cheat this out. So I'm not gonna argue for or against it. I'm gonna say maybe. Diamond Scorpios Ultra. Not Ultra, basic. This is just a core. 4 energy to evolve it. 500 B power, 12 damage. Okay. Hyper Cubbo. 2 to evolve this bear. 400 B power, 8 damage. Underdog. If it has lower B power than the opposing Bakugan, your opponent must discard a card. In the right deck, maybe. I think this could actually have some potential, especially in a heavy, let's not have my opponent be able to do anything deck. So, maybe. Maybe's my answer. Hyper Keleon Ultra. This is also a 4-drop. 700 B power for this one, and 7 damage. If, however, you land on a Green Fist, plus 500 B power, and plus 4 damage. Not too bad if you're landing on the right cores. Hyper Kerkelius Ultra. This is a 3 energy evolution. 800 B and 4 damage. If you land on a Helix, plus 400 B. So, for 3, not too shabby. Hyper Scorpios Ultra. 4 energy for this one. 1200 B power. It's quite a bit for 4. It does, however, only have 2 damage. But if your opponent has no cards in their hand, it gets plus 10 damage. So for 4 energy, you're getting a 1200 B. That isn't hitting much, but if you're playing a discard deck where your opponent's constantly losing their stuff, well, it gets plus 10 damage, which is actually real nice. Next is the Hyper Trino. This is only a 3 cost, and it has 600 B power with 6 damage. So the stats are all right. However, if you have an Aurelus on your team, when you drop this down, your opponent is, well, discarding a card. So it has that extra little effect. I'm okay with it in the right deck, I think. Normally, I'm not a fan of those quick, this is what it does and it's gone. But it may have a purpose. Hyper Truncanius Ultra, I think. 2 energy for this one. 700 B power. Okay. 5 damage. Okay. Victor, you may discard a flip card. If you do, give this plus 5 damage. So, a 2-drop that if you discard a card that you can't do anything with anyway, it's giving you plus 5. That's kind of cool. Hyper Vicerox is next. 4 energy for this evolution. 900 B power for the 4, so okay. 5 damage. Okay. You may discard 2 cards to play this for free. So you can technically play this turn 1. If you draw this in your opening hand, you can start with a 900 B power, 5 damage Bakugan. Think about this in Fury decks. That's all I'm going to say. Hyper Webum Ultra. 3 energy for this spider. 500 B power and 8 damage. Okay. If you have an Aurelus on your team, this just gets Shadow Strike. I could see this playing pretty decently in like a trap deck where all of your cores are just awesome traps. But then again, it kind of depends on what cores that the Darkus Webum comes with. But it's food for thought. Hyper Zentar is next. This one's a 3-drop evolution for 500 B power. Nah. 6 damage. Nah. But if you land on a Magic Shield, which is going to help your B quite a bit, probably bump it over 1,000, you're getting plus 9 damage, which is, I mean, 15 damage isn't bad. Next is Maximus Lupithion Ultra. He's a 7-drop evolution for 1,000 B power and 10 damage. Both of those are pretty solid. And Victor, all players must discard 3 cards. I don't know about that. If you win, you're losing things and your opponent's losing things. And I mean, I guess if you get lucky, you can discard something and then play that 3-drop that allows you to play the effect of one of either yours or your opponent's, but I don't know about this one. Next card. Maximus Nilius Ultra. The art on this one's kind of awesome. It costs 6 to evolve, which, okay, that's cool. It makes sense. There's 6 heads. 1000 B power. Not bad for 6, I guess. 10 damage, also pretty good. If you land on a basic shield, you get plus 1000 B power. So that's a 2k Bakugan. And to make it even better, if you control Magnus, I don't believe it matters which one, whether you're doing Living Arm of Tico, the Darkus one that we're getting ready to talk about, or the old Darkus one, which you're probably not playing, plus 20 damage. This is a 30 damage Bakugan if you have Magnus. If that hits and there's no flips, you win. That's just flat out, you win. That's crazy. Granted, there has to be no flips to stop it, but Titan Gorthion's the next evolution we're talking about. Not nearly as impressive. 5 energy, 800 B, 9 damage, Shadow Strike. Titan Hydronoid Ultra. This one is a 6-drop evolution. Has 800 B power, okay, 5 damage, and if you win, you can look at your opponent's hand, play an action card, and then it's discarded. So, interesting. It specifically says, and then it's discarded. So the card that you choose and play, you're getting the effect off of. Hopefully it's like a damage booster, because then you could pay 3 more to copy it because it was a discarded card. It could have some combos to it. Titan Phaedrus is next. 6-drop for an 1107. It is what it is. Moving into flip cards. Futility is the first one. This is one of the chain flips where every set has something like it. It's a 2-drop, stops Aurelus, and then it's core 2, which for it is Chaos and Ventus. Next we have Shadow Drain. This is the one that I like none of. I mean, I like the concept, but I don't like any of these. They only cost 1, but it only stops Aurelus. So yes, depending on how prevalent the dragon is, this can stop that, and that's good. And if you do, a player discards 2 cards, which is also good, but it only stops 1 of 6, and you're still having to pay for it. I like the idea. Then we have a flip card I'm actually kind of scared of. It doesn't stop damage, which normally I don't like including flip cards that do not stop damage or refill your energy, stuff like that. And it costs 3, so it's a little expensive. Destroy all hero cards in play. You may draw a card for each hero card destroyed this way. Yes, you're still taking the damage for the turn, but if your opponent is playing a heavy hero-based deck, this just stops it. And there's quite a few decks that run heroes. So, well, let's look at it this way. If you're playing the new, like, Bakuzodia, I believe it's being coined, where you need 3 specific heroes, well, let's say your opponent has 2 and they just need 1 more, or your opponent has all 3 and they're waiting to evolve the dragon. Flip, it's all gone. They're not winning that way. Or let's say you're fighting a deck like the Frozen Heroes one that I built. If this is flipped against that deck, the deck just resets. Everything you've worked for through the game is just gone. This can be a scary card towards the right decks. Granted, it doesn't stop damage, and normally my rule of thumb is if a flip card doesn't stop damage, it's not worth it. This one might be. In a sideboard, it would be terrifying. But just as is, it's still kind of scary. Magnus, Ultimate Rival. I have not decided whether I like this card or think this card's garbage. It's 5 to play it. That's a little expensive, but it's a tutor. When you play this, search your deck for a card and shuffle your deck. So I assume it also means to add it to your hand. That's a good assumption to make. You can search your deck for a card, get whatever card you need, any of them, and that's what he does. Now he's sitting on the table doing nothing. Unless you can play 3 of him. If you get all 3 out, it says if you have 3 of this in play, your Bakugan get plus 300B and plus 3 damage. Now notice, it does not say if you have 3 Magnus in play. It says if you have 3 of this in play. When I first read that, I thought, what's the point of having plus 300 plus 3? But technically, if you have 3 of these in play, you're getting this effect 3 times. So if you can pull it off, you're getting plus 900 plus 9 constantly. And, well, he can search for himself. Now, I just want to put out the idea of a combo real quick. Let's say you have 2 of the new strata that reduces hero costs by 2. Or let's just say you have all 3 stratas out. That's a bit more far-fetched. He can search for himself, play him for free or 1, both cheap. Then he can search for himself and do the same. Then he can search for himself and do the same. Then he can search for whatever else you may please and drop him out. So if the setup's right, I think he can be really good. But let's talk about the other side of this, shall we? What happens if 1 is dealt in damage? If 1 of these is removed from the game, it's only a search card. So there's I wish it said if there was at least 2 of this, your Bakugan gets plus 3. So that way, if you only get 2, you're still getting the constant plus 6. It's not quite that plus 9 like you're wanting, but I think it would have just a hint more playability. But let's look at the last card. It's a dog. Lightning. The new Lightning is 2 energy to play it. Your Bakugan gets plus 100B and plus 1 damage. I don't like it. Let's look at Magnus more. That's the end of this video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you haven't heard, which I assume you have, because you've probably heard it in the last 2 videos, I'm running a contest. If we can get this channel from wherever it's at right now up to 1,000 or more, I'm happy with more subscribers, I'm going to be giving away 1 custom painted Bakugan to one of y'all. Any one of the subscribers can get it. So make sure to subscribe and share this video, whatever you think is necessary to get us to that point. But whether you do or whether you don't, well, you'll see me when you see me.